Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to analyze the first game between Magnus Carlsen and Nepomniachi in the World Championship match. So, Ian was playing with the white piece and Magnus with the black piece. So, Ian starts the game with e4 and Magnus responds with e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, the Ruy Lopez, and Magnus plays the move a6, the Morphy defense. So, this is all theory. So, bishop a4, the main line. So knight f6, short castles, bishop e7 developing a piece, and also preparing to castle, rook to e1 defending the e4 pawn, over protecting the pawn as well. So b5, bishop b3, short castles. So until and unless this is all been seen, this is just a very simple line of the Ruy Lopez. So h3. So in this position, if you play c3, you can allow d5, which is called the martial attack. So Nepo tried to avoid the martial attack, but here Magnus surprised the whole world with the move knight to a5, and this is just an unbelievable move because it simply sacrifices the pawn on the e5 square with knight captures e5, which loses the protection from the c6 knight. And this is a move that has never been seen by Anish Giri in the commentary. Anish Giri was in the commentary and he was like shocked, and the whole commentary panel was shocked. So what's the idea? You have to take the pawn to get the initiative in a world championship match. You have to you have to take the risk, you have to take the bet, and otherwise your position will be very bad. So knight captures e5, knight captures b3, a captures b3. So white is simply a pawn up, but black has a very nice initiative and very nice compensation. So bishop to b7, doubling a piece, d3 and d5. You have to go for the kill. If you play slowly, then white will consolidate and get the game away. So pawn takes is completely forced. E captures d5, queen captures d5, threatening a checkmate on the g2 square. So queen f3 only move, offering a queen trade, but Magnus plays bishop to d6, and he kind of accepted the bet, because if you take with the queen, then queen captures d5, knight captures d5, and the knight will come to b4 and pressuring c2 and a lot of things. But bishop d6 is a very hidden threat as well, and the threat is if you play a very normal move like, let's say any move, let's say a move like developing move, let's say knight c3, then it will blunder the game on the spot. So you guys try to pause the video and find the winning move here, and the move is queen captures e5 and you design, because now if you take the bishop on the b7 square, if queen captures b7, then queen captures e1 would be a brilliant checkmate. So the only move, if I will give you 10 guesses, you cannot guess the move. This is a so complicated move. King f1, the only move to like get the game in control. So now Magnus plays rook fb8. Rook fb8. Look at the prep this guy does. That's why he's the world champion. And renewing the threat of queen captures e5, because if you again develop the piece with knight c3, then you again blunder queen captures here, because if you take this guy, queen captures b7, then queen captures e1 with check, king captures e1, then rook captures b7, and black will be simply a rook up and in a completely winning position. So now Ian Nepomniachi has to take the queen and exchange the queen. So queen captures d5, knight captures d5, the knight is coming on the b4 square, and though black is down a pawn, but black has a lot of compensation. So bishop to d2, developing a piece. c5, it's a good move as well. He's trying to get the initiative on the queen side with some move like b4 or something like that. So knight to f3, trying to get the knight back in the game with some other square, because the knight in the center is under a lot of pressure with the two bishops. The bishop on d6 and the bishop on b7 will get opened up soon, so he has to block one of the diagonals, otherwise it will be very dangerous. So rook to d8, this is not actually the best move. Rook e8, or even a move like f5 is the best move according to the engine as well. So rook e8 would be much better. Rook d8 is a slightly slow move, and in this positions or in this kind of games, one slightly slow move can change the game. So let's see what Nepo plays. Knight c3 develops another piece, knight to b4, and rook e c1. But if you see, according to the engine, rook a c1 is the best move. So it's a very interesting thing, but for me rook e c1 is quite better, because the rook can be used on the a file later the game, and you will see this thing later in the game. So rook a c8, developing another rook, knight to e2, getting the knight back and attacking the b4 knight as well. So knight to c6, bishop to e3, knight e7, bishop f4, and now Magnus have to trade everything and double the f pawn with bishop captures f3, g captures f3, bishop captures d6, sorry, bishop captures f4, knight captures f4, and rook to c6, defending the a6 pawn, and also preparing rook f6 and a lot of things. So rook to e1 as well, knight f5, and the very important c3, because you have to stop knight d4, otherwise the f3 pawn will be under a lot of fire. So knight to h4, rook e3, defending the f3 pawn, you have to go for that. So this is a slightly slow move again, king f8, g6 or g5 would be much better. And I was also listening to the commentary of chess24, and there's a lot of legends like Judith Polgar, Anish Giri, and a lot of players. So they were suggesting g6 or g5, because you have to get the initiative going, one slow move, and Ian Nepo can get the game back to his hands. So knight to g2, you cannot like trade this active knight. So knight f5 attacking the rook, rook e5 attacking the knight, g6 defending. So knight to e1, knight g7, rook to e4, f5 attacking the rook, rook e3, like just compact the position, keep the position compact. Knight e6, knight g2, b4, and now Magnus is going to open up the b file and try to get some initiative. So king e2, have to bring the king to the queen side to defend all the pawns. So rook b8, king d2, pawn captures c3, b captures c3, and there is a position you have to give back the pawn to like lessen the initiative and get a drawish position. That's very important. If you try to hang on to the pawn with king captures, then there will be rook b6 and the b3 pawn would be under a lot of fire. So rook captures b3, has to take the pawn, king c2 attacking the rook. Now rook b6 is not a move, that's the important thing. If you go rook b6, then you can simply take this guy, and even this check king here, and if you take this guy, then king captures, and this is a completely winning position for white. So you cannot defend the rook and cannot keep another rook on the b6 square. So rook b7 is forced. So h4 is the most important move. It's one of the best moves in this position, because you cannot allow the move knight g5, and then if you play then h4, then there will be knight to h2, knight to h3, and attacking the f2 pawn, and that will be a very dangerous position for white. So h4 is the necessary move. So king f7, rook e1, king f6, knight e3, rook to d7, knight to c4, rook to e7, and knight d6. This is just a threat of a repetition, and they decided to repeat. Knight c4, rook c6, knight e5, rook d6, knight c4, and in this position both of them agreed to a draw, and the first game ended in a draw. But what an exciting matchup, and what an exciting match as well, with a brilliant pawn sacrifice in the known Ruy Lopez. There was a wonderful pawn sacrifice in the first game. The score is 0.5, 0.5, and let's see what happens in the game number 2. So I believe you guys like this video. If you liked it, then like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to the Chess Orco channel. Goodbye guys.